Thank you very much. On your table, we put together some quotes that came directly from my grandfather's last book, The New Economics, about education in particular. And so I thought I would just share some of those on the front page. And then at the bottom, it talks about the philosophy that he evolved near the end of his life called the system of profound knowledge, and how that can be used to impact different organizations of all types, whether it's manufacturing, education, community organizations, government. And one of the things that you'll see at the bottom of it is, that Jim was talking about, was the 14 points, and he said, my grandfather said, quote, "The 14 points for management in industry, education, and government follow naturally as an application of this outside knowledge," meaning the profound knowledge. And that profound knowledge, a couple of elements. I only have a short amount of time, and my grandfather used to talk about these over a 4-day period. And so there's no way for me to really touch on them that quickly, but I thought I'd throw a couple of concepts out there and see if they grabbed you, see what you thought about, what it was. Because one of the things that you'll see with those 14 points, and if you flip the page, you'll see what David did. And David's works, as Jim mentioned, with the Institute on our advisory board, and he heads up our education efforts. And what he's done is he's modified those 14 points slightly for education, because what David does is work in education. He's been in education. He's been through all of the different types of things that you can deal with and that you folks have. And so that's one of the reasons why it's important for him to be here, rather than me standing up and talking about my grandfather's philosophy, but not having the context you folks have in your classrooms and in your schools every day. And that's one of the beauty and the power of bringing David, is he can talk about it from that context. So that's very important for us. But as an institute, we look at what we can do to make a difference, because we have a very, very deep interest in education and in quality learning. Because education and quality learning extends so far beyond just the classroom. Our work environments, our business environments are actually learning environments too, and they're focused on quality. So if we can have students and kids coming out of our education system that have an understanding of the way businesses work without actually even knowing it, that we're talking about systems. We're providing them an understanding in systems thinking. We're providing them an understanding in what variation means. We're providing them an understanding in what some of these concepts mean and how they're interrelated. Then when they go out and they graduate and they move on to college and they move on to the business world, they have a lens through which to look at their organizations, their businesses, their communities, and their families very, very differently than they ever did. Because what we're hoping is that we can reach a stage where that possibility exists for them to learn some of that early on. Because when we come in and start working with organizations, and oftentimes the organizations and businesses that will come to us are already in crisis. The lights are about to go out. Something's bad is about to happen, and they've said the existing way we're doing business doesn't work any longer. So we're desperate. We're willing to try desperate measures. And they look and they say, well, is this something that you guys and you folks and this philosophy might be able to bring to us that can make a difference? And at that point, as you know, when you're in crisis, that's one of the times when you're more open to accepting some kind of a change. Something that's very different, because you realize the existing status quo is not working for you any longer. And that's why it's important for us to get some of these ideas out there, so we don't have to do it at a time of crisis. We can do it. The best time to start making improvements is when you're doing well. Why sit around and wait when you're doing well for something bad to happen? Because we always talk about the organizations, or the ones that are at the bottom. We need to improve those. We need to get those to the top. But one of the things my grandfather said was that the organizations that have a monopoly, that have leadership, and that are driving business or education, and they're doing very well, they're one of the ones that have the greatest obligation to themselves to examine themselves and see how they may be able to continue to improve. One of the things about my grandfather was he was himself a lifelong learner. He believed there was nothing more important than continually learning. He loved teaching. He taught at Columbia University and NYU well into his 90s. And he continued to teach his 4-day seminars. I was talking to, Jim, I'm drawing a blank on a woman yesterday from Texas, from the... Pat. I was talking to her this morning. And one of the things Pat said, she said, I was so excited I had a chance to go to one of your father's 4-day seminars, and it helped change my life and helped drive what I'm doing now. And she said, I can't believe he was doing it in his 90s. He was so driven to make a difference and create those quality learning environments in every type of an organization that he worked until December of 1993, when he was 93 years old. He did his last 4-day seminar, and 2 weeks later he passed away. So he worked up till the end. I hope I'm not doing this at 93. That was always amazing. But he believed that education and learning was the key to creating effective, efficient, productive, innovative organizations and communities that advance our society so everyone wins. Not just one component, everyone wins. And to do that, we need leadership and leaders like you who can energize organizations, develop its aim, and we'll come back to aim in a minute, and write that down, the word aim. And we'll come back and you'll see why. To develop its aim and effectively govern the future, not merely be victims of it. So, Dr. Otero, on Friday night, talked about the Toyota production system, and Jim was just talking about it now, how the possibility of possibly going there and having a trip. And it brought back to me a meeting that I had a number of years ago I thought I would share with you, that would articulate the impact of leadership guided by knowledge and a very critical understanding of the organization's aim, and more importantly, the method to achieve that aim. And that started in November of 2009. Have any of you ever heard of the Deming Award given in Japan? And it's been given every year since the 50s by the Japanese Union of Science and Engineers, who brought my grandfather in at the end of World War II when they were in a crisis. They had nothing left. Their industry had been destroyed. The war was over, and they were looking for a way out. Japanese products before World War II had always been known for their shoddiness. They always broke down. They were never known for quality products. He, in a period of time in the 50s, early 50s, worked with 80% of the capital of Japan to go through his seminars. 80%. Can you imagine getting 80% of the capital of the United States in a room? 80% of the capital of Japan went through his seminars, and he told them that if you follow these ideas, you will have the world screaming for protection from your quality products within 5 years. And he was wrong. It took 4 years. It happened a lot faster. And part of that was the basis for Taiichi Ohno's Toyota production system. Tatsuro and Shinichiro Toyota were both students of my grandfather. They came and learned from him in Japan and in the United States, and I believe it was Columbia. And they continued to learn, and they applied that. And the basis for the Toyota production system to this day is the Deming management philosophy. So in November 2009, my mother, my brother, and I went to Japan for the Deming Prize ceremony. When we go to Japan, the Toyota family asked that we let them know that we're in Japan and would like to always get together with us. So we get on the bullet train and we head down to Toyota City to meet with Shinichiro and Tatsuro Toyota. There's a big problem. November 2009, if you remember, was the height of the Toyota acceleration issue. They were in crisis, terrible crisis at that time. And I actually thought they would cancel a meeting. We were also supposed to meet with Akio Toyoda, who had just recently been named as president of Toyota Motor Corporation. Akio couldn't meet with us. He had been told to fly to the United States because he was testifying before Congress that week on this acceleration issue. So we show up there, and we're not sure who was going to meet with us. Tatsuro Toyota and Shinichiro Toyota both met with us. And we did the usual where they said hello, very, very friendly. We sit down, you have the interpreters. And it's very interesting how formal it is. You sit across the table, they're on one side, we're on the other side. My mother was in the middle, I was to the right, my brother was to the left. They want to know who's the oldest son, and so they actually seat you in certain positions. So Shinichiro looks up, and he said to my mother, "Which is your eldest son?" And she points to me. And he looked and he bowed his head, and he said, "We owe you the deepest apology possible. We have failed your grandfather's philosophy. And we have lost our way." I'm telling you, I still get chills when I hear him say that. He said that what had happened was we changed our aim. Our aim had always been, and he went into it, you'll see where I'm going with this in just a second, and we changed the aim under different leadership to become the #1 car company in the world. And he said, guess what happened? We became the #1 car company in the world. But the price we paid is terrible. And it may have caused people to lose their lives and to distrust what the Toyota Motor Corporation stood for and what we've stood for since your grandfather came in and taught us back in the 50s. He said that my son Akio is on his way to Congress because we're going to tell them that we lost our way, we had the wrong focus. We had a method to achieve our aim, but our aim wasn't set up that it was going to be for the betterment of society. It wasn't going to be something that was going to have a positive impact on our customers. And he said that they had, by allowing their company to stray, they'd made this mistake, but they were going to change their aim back to one that would improve their organization. He said not doing so would literally cost lives as well as threatening the livelihood of thousands of employees. There were people in their articles saying that Toyota might go out of business as a result of this. And what they did was they changed their aim, and I'm going to read it to you. I think you'll find it very interesting. How many times in their aim do you think they talk about selling cars or talk about cars? Any guesses? In about a 4-sentence aim, what would you guess? Any thoughts?
The new aim?
The new aim.
None.
Toyota will lead the way to the future of mobility, enriching lives around the world with the safest and most responsible ways of moving people. Through our commitment to quality, constant innovation, and respect for the planet, we aim to exceed expectations and be rewarded with a smile. We will meet our challenging goals by engaging the talent and passion of people who believe there is always a better way. Everybody knows that. They're all working hard and giving their best efforts toward that aim. And one of the things they said was, and it'd be interesting, is if you go back and you talk to your teachers, your principals, the administrators, the board, have them write down, get them in a room and have them write down, what is the aim of our organization? Because I'm willing to bet every one of you in this room works hard and gives your best effort. I don't think you'd be here if that wasn't the case. Go back and have them write that down. Collect those pieces of paper and look at it. And see if everything on those pieces of paper is the same. Does everybody think that they're working hard and giving their best efforts toward the same aim? Or are you working towards one aim, and you're working towards another aim, and you're working towards another aim, and you're all working really hard, but you're all working towards a different aim? So you're wasting effort. You're wasting energy. You're wasting the potential resources. So one of the things in talking about the aim of the system is it's important that an aim never be defined in terms of a specific activity or method. It must always relate to a better life for everyone.
Oh, you can get these slides?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll get you these slides.
Thank you.
When an organization holds an individual accountable for a goal or achieving an aim, it must provide the resources for accomplishing it. We see over and over goals given without a real method to achieve the goal. There's nothing worse. I was in sales for a long time, and the organization would always come to me and say, all right, what's going to be your figures for this upcoming year? And I would do all this exhaustive research. I learned really quickly. I was a quick learner. I did all this exhaustive research, pulling out how we were going to do next year, what the numbers were going to be, and give them to them. And let's say it was $1 million in sales. You know what they come back to me with? You're going to do 1.2 this year. I told you I could do 1. So, well, it's now 1.2. I said, by what method am I going to achieve that additional 200,000? We don't care. Just go out and do it. We need you to do that. So there's nothing more frustrating than, and I guarantee you folks have experienced it. You've been told, you have to do this, you have to have your graduation rates, you have to do this, you have to do that, and they're not giving you a method by which to achieve that. There's nothing more frustrating to me than that. And if you're given a numerical goal to hit and a realistic method to do so, you can still hit that goal. And if you're not given a realistic method to do so, can you still hit that goal? Absolutely. That 1.2 million they gave me, I could hit it. I could redefine the terms of that $1.2 million. I could distort or fake it. I could run up costs. There's a number of ways that you can do that. An example is I was talking to Errol Davis. Do you know him at all? He was the head of the Atlanta public school system. I think he just recently stepped down. He stepped in after a mess down there.
Scandal? Yeah.
What's that?
It's after the cheating scandal.
Yes, after the cheating scandal. And I was talking to him, and he's aware of my grandfather's teachings. And one of the things that he said to me was, you could see this was going to happen. They were told to do something, and they weren't given a method by which to achieve the goals they were doing. And they went ahead and achieved them anyway. So if they weren't given a method, they weren't given the possibility, the resources, the capability to achieve it, and you threaten them. You say that you might lose your jobs, you might lose your schools, all these type of things. You're still going to go out and figure out a way to do it. But that's not the way we want to do it, and it's so important to do that. And understanding how we get to that point and how we think about it is really, really important. It's one of the things that David can cover and talk a little bit more about, because he's done it in the settings that you folks work in. I mean, I went through the system. I had my own challenges, learning challenges as a student, but I can't really look at it from the perspective that you folks have and the challenges that you have. I can kind of see it, and frankly, this weekend opened my eyes like you cannot believe in terms of what you have to deal with. But the thing that hits me is that the students that you're that are graduating from your schools, they're our future. They're the ones that are going to lead us to that next generation. And it's a very uncertain future. None of us know what things are going to be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You know, imagine the students who are coming through now when they're going to be retiring in the middle of the century or later. And so we're preparing them for a very, very uncertain world. And so the more tools, the more capabilities, the more understanding that they can have that goes beyond just the basics and what they're doing in that classroom will have a profound impact on what they're able to do in their communities, their organizations, their government, and their businesses. And so I encourage you to learn some more about this. And we have a lot of resources that are out there, and we're more than willing to offer them to you. Like I mentioned, we're a nonprofit organization. Our aim is to make a difference in education. If we can do that, and we can assist you folks in any way, it would be an honor to do so. And I know it's something that my grandfather would deeply cherish. The more time that we can help and make a difference in education is something that is very near and dear to him. Like I mentioned, I have a greater appreciation for the challenges you face, the responsibilities you have, and the constraints you operate under, as well as the optimism and enthusiasm you have for all your work. And I just want to personally, on behalf of the Institute, thank you all for everything you guys do for our children out there and for our communities as a whole. It's deeply, deeply appreciated. So thank you so much for your time.